The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly podcast. Sorry, that just cut off out of nowhere. That was weird. Literally knocked me out of nowhere. Marc Francois with his course, friend, activist, all that.
What's going on?
The music was it still playing? The music still playing? This stopped out of nowhere.
Sorry, I was adjusting my camera.
Because I was literally
no, you did have a gap of about 15 seconds there.
Okay. Because
So
I was literally
fix that in post.
Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. No, I was literally about to come in and do the intro, and then all of a sudden it knocked me out of StreamYard. I'm like, the fuck was that? Like, I didn't plan that. That was not part of the gig. And I come back here and the music's done playing. I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, Marc, what's going on, buddy? Dude,
not too much, man.
We're actually potting.
Frosty day in New York.
What is it there now?
Like 45, I think today, 46, something like that.
I wish it was 45.
No, it's nicer than that today. It's probably when I went and got coffee, it's probably more like 52.
I wish it was 45 here. Right now, here where I'm sitting at, it is 79 degrees.
See, I would trade places with you in a heartbeat.
No, I would trade places with you right now in a heartbeat because I'm sick.
You know, it's funny though, where I was in the mountains all summer, it's actually colder there in Big Bear than it is here in New York right now.
That's crazy.
Because they're getting hit with like gnarly rains in Southern California, and it's what apparently they're calling on the news out there an atmospheric river out of like Alaska, Russia, China. Yeah. And so when it just brings that river of cold air, tons of rain, obviously, for like San Diego, Orange County, and LA, but means obviously the snow level drops. And so anytime you hear, like, if you're following LA news, you hear the snow level dropping to like 2,000-3,000 feet, Big Bear is going to get good snow because the city's at 6,000. So that means it's going to be cold enough that you're like getting actually nice cover, not like weird, like sleety slush, you know?
Right.
This is kind of flurries.
This is kind of weird though for us. Like we're podcasting again less than 2 weeks after we did the last pod.
Yeah, right. Well,
at least back in the day, we would record every other week or every week sometimes.
Between news and sports, we'd kind of be remiss if we didn't right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. Especially in the political world.
Yeah.
So the last time we talked about 12 days ago, that was right after Mamdani won the mayor's race, and Democrats did very well in the
shutdown.
Correct. Shutdown's over now since then. Fuck Chuck Schumer, of course. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to
Chuck
go.
Schumer and dwarfs.
Yeah. By the way,
his seven spineless dwarfs.
I think he did that because I think he knows. Because number one, he's not up for re-election until 2028. He's probably not going to run again, most likely. I think if
weren't all 8 defectors not up till 2028 or something like that?
Yeah.
Convenient.
So you want you if you're a Democrat pissed off about that stuff, you better hope that you have a long brain, a long memory.
Yeah. Although, based on the degree of stubbornness of the opposition, I don't see them outrunning it. I think because I think it's twofold. I think that the more fascistic elements of our opposition are undoubtedly doubling down at every turn. And then, conversely to that, you have like Mamdani winning and demonstrating how really appealing to the working class and embracing, dare I say, socialism, is a winning pathway is a winning pathway forward. So I think with those two things being true, those especially in places, because I believe one of them was Fetterman, for example, right?
Right. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think in places like New York and PA where people are hurting especially bad, whether it's rural communities in Pennsylvania or like suburban towns on Long Island and Westchester or the city, at least in the city, you've got Mamdani, who's to say how much of his campaign promises he's actually going to be able to enact. He's still got the New York City Council and borough presidents to contend with. But like that notwithstanding, at least he's doing something. And I think that juxtaposition is going to cast an unfavorable light on Senators Schumer, Fetterman, and their 6 other compatriots.
I did say though, if he does like of the 5 things he promised, he does 2 or 3 of them, it's a win.
Yep.
In this climate, it's a win.
Well, and like right now, for example, MTA, I believe it was 290 and it's going up to either 3 or 310 for Subway, but then there's some like transfer rules that they're opening up or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, even if he stops the scheduled fee increases on the Subway, and dare I say even rolls them back a little bit, like that would do a ton.
Yeah.
And especially when, for example, a huge scandal was just uncovered. One of the biggest, what started as a simple case of a more or less scanned and reprinted MTA ID turned into like an 8 or 9 figure scam that ripped off the MTA for something like approaching or exceeding $100 million over LIR fares.
Okay.
So like when you've got those stories in the local news and fares schedule, posters all over the subway platforms that shit's going up. Again, and then similar things happening statewide, whether you're in Rochester or Syracuse or Albany or Buffalo, like shit's not easy anywhere.
Right.
Easier than Manhattan, but yeah, it's not easy. I think that's going to come back to bite Schumer in the ass. And if anybody comes forward with policies that for statewide and federal for state and federal policies that obviously a senator would be dealing with, I think anybody even approaching Mamdani's campaign platform is going to destroy, whomever the Schumer heir apparent is. Like,
I don't think
he's retiring in 2028.
I don't think. No, he hasn't said that. I'm just predicting it because.
I mean, he has to. He'd be like 94.
That's my point. I think he knows that his time is up. He knows he'll get primary by AOC. If AOC tries to run for that seat, she will win, and she'll win final colors.
So yeah, I just assumed it was a foregone conclusion. He wasn't running.
No,
so
Schumer's numbers in the fucking toilet, bro. Schumer's numbers in the fucking toilet right now.
Oh yeah. His and Hakeem Jeffries' approval numbers have to be like close to Donald Trump's, like bad.
Yeah. Well, Trump's.
I haven't looked. I don't know.
Well, Trump's numbers are caving now, and
and
nice pivot.
And
nice
with
pivot
with core groups too.
Yes,
with non-college educated white men and shit.
That took him to the White House in last year.
Yeah,
and now you have this shit now, which is the main reason why I wanted you on the show today. The Epstein Files officially are going to be released. The House, the Senate all voted for it. Trump supposedly signed the bill last night. Signed the legislation.
Well, yeah, because they had overwhelming ability to override a veto. Correct.
I don't know about maybe. I
want to say it was like
I'll say yes.
Damn near unanimous.
Yeah,
like,
only one voter.
Like,
I want to know who that one voter was that didn't vote for it in the House. It was 427-1.
I can tell you who it was. Come on, you know,
in the House,
Mike Johnson. I mean, I don't know. Okay, This is
Keep
obviously
talking. I'm looking
distributed and broadcast content. So let me couch myself because my sister, the attorney, would slap
fill in
the
this
shit out of
filibuster
me.
time. I'm gonna look up right now.
But yeah, I like that you said filibuster instead of vamp. That was cute. But no, it's got to be Mike Johnson because he's the biggest puppet in the House, number one. And number two, I would think, given the state and district he comes from, there's absolutely no chance, unless he got primaried, that he's losing his place. And B, that his overall position in federal government hinges more on his ability to kowtow to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many, it's like, oh, Trump over everything. And so, for example, even if he gets primary, who gives a shit? They'll make him a cabinet secretary. They'll make him an advisor. He'll go do Turning Point Media, whatever it is. Like he'll get put on a back burner and then he'll get a position elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like we all know how the rotating door works. So yeah, if it's one person holding out, I gotta think it's Mike Johnson.
Well,
that's an educated guess, but
I have the answer here. The winner.
It feels fairly obvious.
The representative that is who did not vote to pass the bill is. It is not Mike Johnson. It is Representative Clay Higgins of Louisiana.
Well, I guess most of the things I guess also apply to Clay Higgins. So I guess it wasn't really wrong. My rationale was whatever.
I think Mike Johnson
surprises
me. Pressure. Mike Johnson is also up for re-election next year too. Also, so he has to be very careful.
I'm often shocked but rarely surprised anymore, and that one surprised me. Well played, sir.
Let me ask you this though: the Epstein thing overall, like my position has been for years, like I don't care, and the reason I don't care is this: not because I don't care about the victims, obviously, is that
you don't care about sort of the horse race coverage of it. It's like call me when we have the bone, the meat, the gristle, and it's all there.
Yeah,
I don't want
mostly that, but really, Mark,
trickled out over 5 years, 10 years, 12 years.
Right. The reason why I don't care necessarily, even I care about it now because it's in the news, is because I know at the end of the day, regardless of who's in power, it won't be in the up and up because I don't trust any of these governments at all. I just don't.
Okay, so there's a content creator. I think you're absolutely correct because obviously, the immediate skeptic's response is, well, who gives a shit if it's coming out? Because Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have been scrubbing it for however long. Okay, true. However, this is where I was going with this. There's a content creator I follow, and my mom and I are always sending her reels back and forth. Fucking fantastic, like news, history, politics, context creator, really. Her handle, I want to say, is Amanda's Mild Takes. You've probably seen my shit on her stories, her shit on my stories before because I've posted it a dozen plus 12 more times, So anyhow, Amanda was actually explaining this that even if they redact a whole bunch of shit and try to cover up a bunch of the names, there's too many hands that have had access to corroborating documents to be able to keep it a secret. Like, yes, that will delay it. But ultimately, for example, all the banking records, they'll be able, like, based on what is shown. I mean, unless it's just 1,800 pages of black.
Yeah.
But if they're also, the other thing is, come on. I said the same thing to my mom on the phone when we were talking about this. We're not exactly talking about legendary figures of intelligence, espionage, and God, I can't think of the word, but you know what I'm saying. Like, these are not the best and brightest people. So even if they're scrubbing and redacting the records, I don't imagine they're doing a very good job, and they're gonna leave. There's gonna be holes in their work
Yeah, and I think
because
the
they're
fact
not good
that
at this.
is it
They're
and
corrupt
also
as all shit, but they're not good at this.
and the things too. Also, what I've stuff in me in the Trump of it all, especially too, is that Donald Trump's behavior since the Epstein Files started becoming a thing again in the news like 2 weeks ago, it's been very erratic. It's been very erratic, even by
Yeah,
his
well,
standards.
and I think it's a combination of things. I think, having nothing necessarily to do with Donald Trump, we talk about obviously how much the presidency ages any person.
Yeah.
Look at any person, especially in the last 60 years, who served 2
Look at Obama.
consecutive terms.
Obama.
Look at what they looked like at the beginning and look at what they look like on the next president's inauguration day. They look like they've aged 30 years. And even a strapping lad such as Obama. Exactly.
Yeah.
That shit takes years off your life. And Donald Trump was not a healthy man when he won the 2024 election.
Yeah, and
So
I do
think,
believe there's some of the health issues that have been rumored.
Yep.
I believe them.
So I think it's the natural sort of extreme rigors of the presidency, even for somebody who's phoning it in. It's still good. Like, it's not taking as many years off his life as it did Barack, George, or Bill, but it's still accelerating his decline.
It is.
And then so you've got that, and then you've got, like, obviously you can't diagnose somebody from a picture or an interview or a rally, but certain things are just fucking obvious. And, like, anybody who's watched The Pit or ER can identify some of the things happening with the president. And while they may not be able to hit the nail on the diagnostic head, any fucking idiot can see that person is not well.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I agree with you. And here's the thing. Yeah.
You don't have to be a geriatric medicine fellow at fucking Harvard Medical to know that person is not in good health. Like, come on.
And here's the thing, Mark, too, also, in the past, this wouldn't be a big deal, even for people who support him, if the economy was doing well.
Well, that's just it, because that's always been the reasonable man's, like, argument for holding their
economy.
nose
So it's been
Trump.
And he always had
It's
to
like
lean
the
on.
counter to my Hillary is the person who goes, well, Donald Trump is a fucking nonsensical asshole and a clown. But at the end of the day, my 401k does better when he's in office.
Right. Now you can't say that right now.
Well, so here's the fucked up part.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where liberals and progressives, socialists and communists and anarchists run into problems. Mm-hmm. Is the person, like so many people I know in my hometown, mm-hmm. raised culturally conservative, mm-hmm. as a household likely makes somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000. This is important.
That's household, right?
And household. So, because obviously it's a lot of two-parent home. Like, if we're talking millennials and millennials, elder millennials, and Gen Xers in my hometown area that, like, own homes, and the same mostly holds true on Long Island as well, because socioeconomically where I grew up and where I live are two very similar places, and so culturally very different. However, the point is, so you have, like I said, raised culturally conservative, likely a household income between $250,000 and $500,000, and then they are people that, because they're overwhelmingly white, privileged, or both, they have access to financial instruments that the general public, and especially notably Black and brown people, don't overwhelmingly have access to.
Right.
And those financial instruments that are anchored in the securities markets, whether it's the bonds market, the commodities, stocks, what have you, your 401ks, your IRAs, these investment accounts, CDs, whatever, people that have six-figure incomes that can dabble in these more elevated investment vehicles, are not necessarily feeling the burn the same as everybody else, because while their income is down and their expenses are up, their investments are still performing.
But that's maybe okay.
It's
Not
it's arbitrary. It's manufactured.
It's not 1%. It's not. But Mark, it's not. It's not 1%.
I'm explaining to you what the hurdle is for those vote. Like I said, the nose holder will cite as their argument. They're like, well, yeah, I am paying more for groceries, and I am pissed off about that. But that's only because the fucking Democrats won't let Donald Trump do what he needs to do to get us the rest of the way there. My 401k is performing. My husband's IRA is performing. My CD is up 8% over last year's performance. But fucking eggs still cost $11 because Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and these goddamn
most people's country don't make that household income. Most people's country make less than that. And no, right. True. And to your point, though,
I'm saying this is a very specific. Hurdle for messaging.
But a lot of Trump's base, though, that voted for him in 2024, especially too, not necessarily his base, but people who voted for him who probably voted Democrat in the past, but decided to go the other way. You know, for the reason they said the economy that was better on him. I get all that. You can't claim that right now because the economy has not gotten better. People say, like, I got one of my really close friends, love him to death, great, trust him like kids, the whole nine, but he's very MAGA, and we have excellent discussions about politics. And last time we got into it a little bit because, like, there's nothing that Trump can do that he was never say. And I told him that. I called him out. I go, dude, there's nothing that Trump can do that you will never leave him at this point. Like, he got you. He's got you. Like, the very fact that you're using the same. Like,
it's twofold. So I'm going to cross my fingers to stop interrupting you.
Right. No, it's okay. No, okay. No, I'm going to point out. So, like, the things he says that Trump is doing, like the market's great and this and that. Well, the market was
that'll help you, dog. You make $24 an hour working in a machine shop. You don't have a 401k.
That's what I'm saying, though. But the thing is, the market was great also under Biden, and you guys said it didn't matter. Inflation was inflation. Well,
the market was better under Biden than it is now, but individual things are still performing well.
So I told him, like, you can't apply the same argument that you used against Biden 3 years ago when it's the same goddamn thing, the same exact scenario, and you're now use it for Trump. No, I'm calling on your bullshit. You can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. So that person to me, okay. So what we are seeing, let's first qualify, because we're talking about something incredibly granular. So I imagine like the average like popcorn eater, casual consumer would be like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Like the Democrats just swept the shit out of every election they could because over affordability. Yes, all true. We're talking about a very specific subset of voters.
Right.
So qualifying that. Anyway, to me, that person that you're describing, Ernest, almost 100% of the time falls into one of two, if not both categories. You're either, or three, racist, misogynist, total fucking MAGA cultist.
He's not racist. He's definitely not racist.
Okay. So then it's cultist. It's you
probably,
have this weird tribal. And you know what that boils down to more, in my opinion, is like let's take away the MAGA part of it and just lump it and juxtapose it with any cult, whether it's fucking NXIVM or the half a dozen different dudes in Michigan and Wisconsin that Robert Evans has done stories about, or Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
Put Jonestown, any of them. The point is, the people that get caught up into these things are almost 100% are in large swaths. I don't want to overstate it, but in large swaths of the people that get caught up into these things are people who have always struggled to belong, have this like sort of yearning for tribalism, family, a community, what have you. And through a confluence of different circumstances, find themselves at a point in their lives at the feet of a predator, and a predator takes the coupling of their like lifelong yearning for a family and a community, and then capitalizes on their specific like circumstantial hardship to abuse and manipulate them. And that's exactly what the fuck Trump does with poor, uneducated people. They take it, these are people who have felt lost. They have felt disconnected from their community. So many a thing, let's go this far. Even if, say, like, your homie isn't racist,
Which I know for
I
fact
would,
he's not
I
racist at all.
no, I know, but I'm saying, what are the odds that said homie grew up in a household where his aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents freely said the N-word? He might have knew it was wrong, but that's the culture you
It's very
grew
possible.
up
I can't
in.
speak. I
So
can't
where
speak on
I'm
it.
going with this
Right.
is that for a white person who's doing the work of decolonizing their mind and interrogating that thinking, maybe he's not gone so far as to be an abolitionist or an anti-racist in his decolonization journey. But at the very least, he knows saying the N-word is wrong. I don't fuck with that. I don't have any problem with who drinks from what drinking fountain. Granny, you're crazy. Like, he's at least made it that far in the journey. Where the problem comes in is for somebody like that, they've always sought belonging. They've always sought a place. And Trump capitalized on all of their grievances.
You just described the males that came for him in this last election. A lot of white males, but a lot of males who felt disconnected and no attention, unloved.
They feel a community with Trump, and so it's more important. And it's really more, honestly, to me, it reminds me of things that, like, friends of mine who were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan would say. And it was that the long and the short of it is, like, I was talking to one of my best friends from high school. It was after, like, his second deployment. And so his first deployment, he was basically a fucking gate guard at an airstrip. He didn't really have to do anything crazy. The most, like, difficult, no, I'm not downplaying it, but this is like me retelling his version of the story.
Right.
The most traumatic thing, which was traumatic and put him in therapy, but the most traumatic thing he endured was having to escort some caskets onto a C-130. Like, he wasn't in the foxhole with the guys. You know what I mean? So his words, not mine. Point being, his second deployment, he had since gone to airborne school and scout sniper school. And while he didn't have to do anything super crazy, he was certainly party to a lot of crazy shit. And where I'm going with this is to say that in that situation, he goes, look, did I sign up for all the, like, oorah 9/11, fuck Osama bin Laden reasons? Of course I did. Well, that, and I had no prospects of going to college. It was my most stable opportunity for income, and fuck Osama bin Laden.
Right.
Like, that's what it was.
Still,
he joined up. I took him to the airport to ship out to boot camp. And that would have been like November of 2002. So, 14 months after 9/11. So you can imagine, like, what the sentiment was, around joining the military at that time. And so the point where I'm going with all of this is to say, he was talking about, like, I signed up for all those, like, oorah patriotism. I need you, Uncle Sam needs you reasons. But after actually being in the shit and seeing what takes place in a war zone, it becomes about the person next to you. And how that relates to the cultism and the tribalism associated with, people like your homie who have no good logical reason for staying on that side of the line. Like, dude, I don't know why you're hanging out under the tent. They don't even have good snacks. Like,
good snacks. It's important though.
But right?
Yeah.
Like, their pretzels are stale as shit, bruh. Come on. And they were the like bottom shelf, like BPA plastic bucket shit. Come on. Stop it.
I'm with you.
But no, it's become less about the fucking racist tangerine on the stage and more about all of the people he finds himself in community with. And now having an enemy and having something to focus your, like, well, why do they hate us? Well, fuck them. They're libtards. They just don't get it. Okay, perfect. So I have all these thousands of millions of other people that I can hate these other people with, and I finally have a place where I feel like I belong, where I'm surrounded by like-minded people. It's the same line of bullshit. And why, for example, like, the pipeline from video game to Reddit forum to red pill, black
4chan,
pill,
4chan,
and it's all wrapped in right-wing propaganda. Like the pathway from Call of Duty to school shooter is a trip through the full spectrum of right-wing propaganda.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like it's the same cultist bullshit. It preys on the same vulnerabilities, the same need for community, because one of the critical understandings that helps an decolonizing white person to see these things is understanding that whiteness is bullshit, arbitrary, and in the tens of thousands of years that human civilization has existed, and since we crawled out of the muck hundreds of millions of years ago, whiteness has only existed as a concept since about the early to mid 1700s. Like even enslaved people in Europe, like if you had to read in middle school, like I Juan de Pareja, do you remember that book? Did you ever have to read that one?
No.
Anyway, it's the story of an enslaved African who is the property of the famous Renaissance painter from Spain, Velázquez. And it's the story of his life. I can't remember if it's like I think it's one of those things like Johnny Tremaine that's historical fiction that's meant to illustrate, like paint a picture of a time and help you understand what somebody's life circumstances historically would be if they interacted with these people and walked this path, but that ultimately Juan de Pareja never fucking existed. You know, it could be an amalgamation of different recorded tales of enslaved people. I really don't fucking remember.
Right.
Point is, whiteness was not a thing in that. It was just that he happened to be black, and the country that black man happened to be from got conquered by Spanish people, but it didn't have anything to do with melanin content. It was just our cannons minus your swords equal you in chains. Like,
yeah. No,
it was way more simplistic than that. The whole whiteness thing didn't become it didn't come about until it became an engine of profitability.
Let me ask you this:
of enforcing profitability. So the point is, there is no such thing as whiteness. And if you're a white person, so like I don't have white pride or investment in white culture. No, I'm I am Belgian Germanic, and I am a mix. I am a mutt of the various British Isles. So when I want to pursue my heritage and my culture, I look to Ireland, Wales, Scotland, Belgium, and Germany.
So
not some fucking dipshit talking about white
apply that to a black person. If I want to see my culture, it'd be the same thing, right? I look to English, Portuguese, Indian, Chinese. No, I'm being serious.
I mean, no, I mean, in a way, yes, but I guess that depends. I guess that depends on what hemisphere your family has resided in for the last 100 years. Because I imagine you're teeing me up to make this point. Is that, for example, as we've seen watching like Know Your Roots on PBS, black celebrities' family trees tend to be a whole lot more pruned than white celebrities' family trees. Oh, why is that? Because they were cattle and they didn't have names. Their parentage wasn't tracked. They weren't included in censuses. So a whole fuck ton of North, South American, and Caribbean black folks, their family trees don't extend beyond about the 1840s if they're lucky.
Right.
So obviously it becomes, that's why the difference when you talk about sort of like pan-African, pan-blackness, or like different things that sort of encompass the whole, like why, take perfect example is like why at a black wedding in New Jersey would I see people jumping over a broom? There wasn't. There were nobody was speaking. Nobody was speaking Igbo.
I did.
Nobody was wearing dashikis.
I did break glass though at my wedding.
No, but that's kind of the whole point, though.
Right.
Is, for example,
I'm marrying a
little
Jew, though, so.
traditions like jumping over the broom, which tend to sort of span the spectrum of blackness. It was one of those cultural traditions that permeates the diaspora.
Yeah.
Why is it? Well, because when a whole bunch of different black folks from Togo and Kenya and Nigeria and wherever the fuck else, Ghana, were stuck in a holding pen in Port-au-Prince, waiting to be distributed to some fucking sugar plantation. Little tribal, because they didn't speak the same languages, they didn't have the same tribal traditions, they didn't have the same beads, they didn't have the same clothing, they only had the same skin color and circumstances. So little traditions of different tribes tended to permeate and become Haitian traditions, Creole traditions, Cajun, Black Southern traditions, whatever. That's why it's a little different when you talk about blackness and brownness being sort of a more inclusive thing, and why whiteness, that doesn't apply. Because the only reason blackness and brownness exist is because whiteness was used to enforce capitalism and created those categories in the first place.
Right.
And can't, colonize those people and use them as cogs in the engineering of capitalism.
Let me ask you this, back on topic with the Epstein and Trump thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Does this?
Oh, point of all that that took us way off all track. Let me just say this.
you went to a fucking rabbit hole.
No. This is the link back into the segue. I swear to God.
No,
it was that I was saying, even if everything is redacted to shit, if they leave any breadcrumbs whatsoever, what's going to end up unveiling those redactions is the financial records. Because on the other side of those investigative reports and all of those transcripts where they're going to black people's names out, there's corresponding bank transfers, flight records. Way too many people have access to the other side of the telephone, not to mention God only knows what foreign intelligence agencies, looking at you, Russia and Israel, have access to who knows what relative to these things. So there's just way too many people that would know that, like, I don't care how much fucking magic markers Cash Patel and Pam Bondi take to that thing, like, the information's coming out.
Right. And
anyway, go back into it.
But you do have people starting to turn, people in his camp starting to turn on him. Most notably,
100%, because it's kind of beautiful. It's one of the most hilarious leopard eat faces moment in all of this, because they are literally so fanatical to his cause and so devoted to the talking points that he's been spewing for the last few years, which is trying to roast every fucking neoliberal and pin Epstein on them. And that's not to say there aren't a whole bunch of fucking neoliberal icons in the Epstein reports and who were doing horrible things with children. Betting that's all true. However, now you have a whole bunch of Republican Epstein truthers that are like, yeah, we want Bill Clinton's ass. I want to know what Michelle Obama was doing in the basement of that pizza parlor in New Jersey, goddammit. Like, release the fucking name. They're not going to like a lot of the names that come out. They're not going to see certain names they're expecting. This is
about politics and plain aside, not about the truth.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's like the fanaticism has gone completely around the bend and brought them around to the other side.
Right. And for the record,
now he's kind of fucked because he's been spewing this shit for 8 years or whatever.
He campaigned for re-election on this issue.
So now all these crazy MAGA fanatics, whether it's somebody of a DeSantis type or a Marjorie Taylor Greene type or Clay Higgins or whomever, Matt Gaetz, whatever. These are all people that have been screaming for years and years that they want to like crucify Bill Clinton and Joe Biden and Barack Obama in the streets because they're trafficking children to drink their blood and like all this crazy shit that we've heard. I'm totally connecting dots that have nothing to do with each other to paint an absurd picture on purpose. I'm being hyperbolic, just couching. But like, yeah, it's like, okay, so you got to do it now. Honestly, I could give a shit what side of the aisle somebody falls on or what party they're registered.
Yeah, I
if you did horrible things to facilitate, if you did anything in the furtherance of trafficking children, whether you participated in it, you masterminded it, or you looked the other way so that it could happen and kept your fucking mouth shut because you liked the parties the pedophile threw, whatever, any role in it you had, you deserve to fry and be excommunicated from public society, or like from public life.
Yeah, I can say that as a left-wing guy. Yes.
If Zoran Mamdani came out tomorrow as Jeffrey Epstein's right hand,
he's fucked.
Yeah,
Bye.
you know, like I could
But
give a
why
shit.
can't why
And that's why
couldn't we say that
all
but they
this like
can't say that?
fanatical tribalism with politicians is inherently both dangerous and stupid.
Bingo.
Because it makes you devoid it, like it makes the commitment and the community more important than fact.
Yeah.
And this is fucking politics and policy. This isn't sports.
Thank you. You said you fucking nailed it right there. Fucking nailed it.
If sports was politics, everybody should be a Dodger fan. You know what I mean? Because that's the best solution. That's the best organization. That's the best. You know what I mean? That's like doing it the Dodger way is conceivably best for everybody. So why isn't everybody a Dodger fan? Because it's fucking sports and it's emotional and it's geographic and it's tribal and fuck San Francisco and beat LA and fuck the Yankees and the Mets are trash. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But politics shouldn't be that.
So policy. It hasn't been about policy.
How much money are you putting in my bank account? How much money are you taking out of my bank account? How much control over my medical decisions
Healthcare,
do you have? How easy is it for me to cause change in my day-to-day life and the policies that are affecting me? These are the things I give a fuck about.
It does
Not who you hung out with, who you party like.
Mark, it does seem like though
so stupid.
And it's not in big numbers yet though, but you start to see pivoting happening in the Republican Party now, because
you are seeing a big shift because motherfuckers are broke.
Well, not only that, after next year, the midterms, when the Democrats who should win back the House, Donald Trump at that point is a lame duck president. Okay,
100%.
And at that point,
but
obviously,
it'll end up
people have
being
the
more of the same too, because obviously, even if bills pass, he won't sign them. So unless an overwhelming midterm shift takes place to significantly change the makeup of both chambers, number one, and number two, a whole lot of Republicans start to defect from daddy's way of doing things, no bills are getting done, because unless you got 2/3 of both chambers, you're not overriding a veto.
Right. And the thing is, too, also, you start seeing people, because after 2026, that's when people start making a position to run for president. How toxic is that ticket then? If the economy does not improve, okay, in the next year or two, and the Republicans lose the House in numbers like 2018, for example, okay, now you're in a situation where Trump can't necessarily save you anymore because he's up for re-election, okay?
Yeah.
Now, how do you pivot now? So I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing something here in the sense that it might be a little grifting her on here. I mean, for example,
she is grifting, but she's a broken clock. You know, she's right.
Yeah, but
twice a day. You know,
for example, she went on CNN this week and actually apologized for behavior. Listen to this shit.
Yeah.
X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you.
Oh, Higher Learning
Obviously,
covered this one.
any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic
disregard her.
Politics.
I want to blow smoke in her face.
It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
But look, it's probably a grift. I probably agree with him, it's a grift, but it's still, listen, Mark, here's the thing though. I don't like her, okay? But here's the reality. It takes a lot of balls to go against Trump like this at this point now. It's not very popular in the base. It's not.
Okay. All right. So first, I literally just listened to this like yesterday or the day before, because Higher Learning did one of Rachel's like apology ratings on this. So you can tag them in the show notes, Higher Learning Van and Rachel, because I want to give credit where credit is due, because I'm totally going to fucking paraphrase what Rachel said, because I couldn't agree more.
Right.
And it's that on a scale of 1 to 10, this rating gets an NA, not applicable. And here's why. Number one, she almost immediately came right out and all but contradicted her statement by following up on Twitter or some social media platform or releasing a statement, some form or the other, written communication that was not on camera with Dana fucking Bash or whoever that was. That was Dana Bash, right?
It was Dana Bash, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it wasn't on camera, and she said, "I'm who I've always been. I stand for what I always stand for." Blah 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 blah. So she's still anti-DEI. She's still anti-trans. She's still anti all these things. The bar is on the fucking floor, and people are accepting breadcrumbs because politics has devolved into such nonsense and madness that anything even resembling logical thought has people going, "My God, they've seen the light."
That's a good point. That's a great point.
No, the fuck they haven't. It's just that you're so starved. A saltine feels like a banquet.
And then it makes you wonder too. Also, is she pivoting for a possible run at the Senate? Possible run at my buddy Jason said yesterday too. Same guy we were talking about earlier. He said that she turned on Trump because he wouldn't support her in a potential race because also
she's trying to trick. Okay. You know what I think she's trying to do, because you know we've talked about this. This is it's a granular subset, but like. At the end of the day, winning a statewide election depends on getting at least some of the conservative Black folks who live in Fulton County and surrounding communities. Yeah. And when I talk about that, I mean people who historically vote Democrat, but they hold their nose doing so because everything about them is culturally aligned with conservatism, except for the fact that the Republican Party leans into racism. And that tends to take the auntie from church away from the redder side of the ticket.
Correct.
And what I think she's ultimately doing is pandering to TT.
Very possible.
She's trying to sound a little more measured, a little more moderate, a little more reasonable, at least bars on the floor. She's admitting that Jewish space lasers aren't a thing and all of these conservative
QAnon. She denounced QAnon.
But at the end of the day, she's saying, yes, I'm sorry, but she's not really taking full responsibility for the harm that she caused. Right. Like when you have a platform and a megaphone that loud and you're getting that much media attention and that much camera time, like your words matter. And
had she done that, though,
the positions you hold have impact. What about all the violence that's happened to trans kids because of the crazy shit she said over the last 5-6 years?
Mark, had she done that, though, had she apologized to David Hogg, had she apologized to Parkland survivors, had she done all those things, we feel a bit different about that now, or no?
No, because she still supports the same policies she supports. She has a baseline aversion to abject stupidity. Congratulations, like you have 7 brain cells. Okay, like I'm not gonna give her a fucking cookie for that.
Yeah. Okay. So I present to you.
Like people are practically at her district office doors with torches and pitchforks because even middle class people who make $140,000 a year can't afford an apartment in her district kind of situation. And like even like that makes no sense. Like where the poverty line has moved to. Mm-hmm. And things that, for example, one of the little things in housing policy that I just learned about today, thanks to Ebony Warrior Studios, is, have you heard of something called a resident score in renting?
I feel like I have, but I've never seen it executed.
Okay, so this is a new, completely unregulated metric by which property management companies, specifically subsidiaries of large private equity firms such as BlackRock, are doing to disqualify renters. You have a credit score. We all know what a credit score is. Anybody born after 1980 knows what that is, right?
Right.
Well, for those of you who are a little younger than, say, Ernest and I that might be listening to this show, what you may not know is credit scores have only existed since 1989, and they were done.
Are you serious? Is that young?
Yes. Look it up.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was a Reagan policy.
Yeah.
It's a limb on the tree of all of that shit we say that like take anything you hate about your life circumstances day to day and blame Reagan. 9 times out of 10, you're correct. Credit scores are thanks to Ronald Reagan. Ultimately, they're fruit of that poison tree. So they're going one step further, though. There's this algorithm that takes into account a whole variety of factors that it aggregates from available data on the internet. This is why it's so important to subscribe to scrubbing services that pull all your little fucking breadcrumbs off the internet 24 hours a day, because you never know what algorithms are collecting what data.
Yeah.
And so they're not just taking your credit score, your income, and your references. They're also running all of your information in all of your history that they can find. And mind you, they've got your social security number, your driver's license, your residential history, references to your life, which are likely family members, which they can make all kinds of other financial connections with through the internet. So the point is, they come up with this other score. And so Ebony was talking about this because he and his wife were trying to get a new apartment. And despite being, according to the terms of evaluation on the application, they were more than qualified. Income, credit, history, references, all boxes checked. And so he called TransUnion to figure out what the fuck happened. Like 590 was their credit score threshold. He didn't exactly tell us his FICO score on his Instagram.
590 is considered like fair to poor.
Yeah, and he was like, well, it's he goes, my credit score is well over that, especially with my wife's. And so he calls TransUnion to figure out what the hell happened. And they're like, well, you actually weren't disqualified because of your income or your credit score. You were based, it says here that your rental application was denied because of your resident score.
Mm-hmm.
He's, fuck is a resident score? And so he gets it explained to him, but what it is, but that's about the equivalent of hitting the little lowercase I in a PlayStation menu. It doesn't tell you how to solve the problem because the guy couldn't tell him what it was based on, what his resident score was, or why how that resident score informed the property manager's decision to disqualify his application.
Yeah, resident score
completely unregulated, has nothing to do, like Fair Housing Act has no language on this. State housing laws have no language on this. Even a city as out in front of this shit as New York, and with Mamdani coming, I'd be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if he knows about it, but it's one of those obscure, granular things that only people like you and I pay attention to.
Yeah, it's a thing. You're right. I'm looking at it now. Like, it's a primarily used by landlords. Property managers predict how likely an applicant is to be a valuable tenant. I mean, it all sounds well intentioned on the surface, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Because you want, as a landlord, you do want to protect yourself too. Also, but there are bad tenants also too. Talk about,
but it's all in service of counteracting things that have created.
Right.
It's rooted in racism, number one, because it's meant to stem the tide of black and brown advancement by white replacement theory rich guys. That's number one. But the unintended consequence to everyone else and benefit to a very small percentage of people is that it also just generally disaffects most people. It's that through a confluence of circumstances, those things more acutely impact black and brown.
Does every property manager and landlord use it? But
that's college tuition, privatizing of healthcare, FICO scores. That's all fruit of the same tree that was tended to by Reagan and his acolytes,
right,
since the 60s. Because it was a counter move to civil rights movement. Like, there's another thing you can look up. There's it's called the Workers' Bill of Rights. It was supposed to be like the last phase of the of the New Deal, but Roosevelt died in office and never got a chance to champion it, and Truman wasn't for it. But look it up because Bernie talks about it.
Yeah, it's not a single binding federal law in the United States, rather a broad set of principles and demands advocated by labor organizations, activists, and some political figures. A good job with fair wages, quality health care, the right to organize, PTO, pay time off, and flexible scheduling, a safe job, retire with dignity. It doesn't exist right now currently. There are versions of principles to be adopted and championed different levels.
But it was supposed to be the abstract,
right,
for another set of legislation that would build upon what was established by the New Deal. Like I said, it would be like the next phase of the New Deal,
right,
that would then continue to expand the middle class and access to capital and socioeconomic ascension, all of these things. And through workers' rights, you would inherently fortify the quest for civil rights, because just like in fighting wars, what helped spark the civil rights movement? The fact that white farm boys from Iowa were fighting in trenches with black country boys from Louisiana, and then they got home and went, "The fuck, are we not allowed to have breakfast together at the same diner?" The same tends to happen through labor organizing.
Yeah, it's subtle things that are happening. That's
like when you're a pipe fitter in LA and you work with 14 guys named Pablo, and then you see ICE raiding your work site, you're like, the fuck?
All right.
You know what I mean? So it radicalizes and aiding workers' rights decolonizes white people.
There you go. Yeah. Here's exhibit B here for you of MTG, because she basically was called a traitor.
Yeah, point being, I don't buy her shit. I rate her first apology as incomplete because she doesn't take real accountability and she still supports the same policy.
Here's her press from yesterday.
A traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
I mean, that's
okay. So I'm going to jump right in and say right off the bat, your argument is rendered invalid because of 2 words.
Was it
America first? Because for the historians listening, they will know that America first is a dog whistle to a fascist veil for right-wing ideology. That before PACs were PACs, the America First Coalition was a group of it was a conservative think tank and effectively PAC, but just before they were called that. Let's call it a proto-PAC. In the 1930s and 40s, that Rachel Maddow does a lengthy podcast covering, was infiltrated by the Nazi propaganda machine insofar as they were literally sending out American-tailored Nazi propaganda. I mean, I shit you not. Shit that had been sent out all over rural Germany was repackaged. The helmets were changed a little bit, the faces were changed a little bit, and the flags were changed a little bit. It was frame for frame, slide for slide, Nazi propaganda approved by Goebbels and distributed with postage paid for by American tax dollars and workers being paid whose wages were being paid by American tax dollars out of the Capitol. Congressional offices were distributing Nazi propaganda, and it was being funded by the America First Coalition. So anytime I hear somebody referencing America First, you're immediately fascist to me, or sus fascist at the very least, because that's a dog whistle to some shit that has been known and widely proven to have been co-opted by the Nazis.
Could I argue that? Am I defending her at all? Because I do, like I said, I think there's still grip behind this. Could I argue that both be right here? That yes, it's definitely a dog whistle, but also the fact that there are overlaps here, politically speaking, that you do have with her in terms of how we spend our money in America, in terms of money sent to Israel, especially too, and she's been very vocal about that for the record, for months now.
Without looking it up, what election season did Marjorie Taylor Greene first? Like, what was her first session in Congress?
I want to say it was 2019. Was it 2019? I think it was. She won in 2018.
My point is,
she said 6 years. So
it was well after the 2015-16 campaign season. Am I correct?
Right.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
so you resent the fact that he didn't like you because you a girl, and he picked all the boys over you, and you beat them anyway. And then the minute you got daddy's favor, you kissed the fucking ring for years and years and years. You spouted nonsense. And then the minute daddy turned on you and wouldn't let you use his credit card no more, suddenly it's fuck daddy. It's just no.
I was wrong. I was wrong, buddy. I was wrong.
I'm glad you're starting to see some light. It is not nearly enough to remunerate the harm that you've caused, the causes that you've advanced, and you're still a fucking ghoul who supports terrible policies. It's just that, like, there's a handful of god awful policies.
You got to start somewhere.
You
Mark.
can't.
You got to start somewhere, brother.
Yes, but I'm not okay. Cool. It's like, all right, it'd be the equivalent of like I'm failing algebra and come home to my immigrant dad that I've, by my next like 10-week progress report, I've pulled my grade up from an F to a C. Well, C is not fucking acceptable in my household either.
We both agree. This is great. We agree. However, I don't want to get to the point where we're not allowing people to change. If the change is real, if she starts pivoting in a way where, oh, okay, policies, yes, and then she's apologizing, that's right, then maybe it changes. Because we have to, we gotta also be forgiving people, well, too. Also, if there is actually something to forgive, and if it's authentic.
100% true. Okay, so I said, what, you want me to give her a fucking cookie? I'll correct myself and say, yes, you can have a cookie, but don't give her a goddamn ticker tape parade.
Oh, no. Totally
that's more the point. And I think you make a really salient point because you're echoing something that Senator Brian Schatz said almost verbatim. And again, I have to throw credit to Rachel on Higher Learning because it was her who highlighted this when they were having that like apology rating discussion. She and Van pointed to this to make your exact point. And that is, look, I'm not going to sit here and pat her on the forehead and tell her she's a big, brave girl because she finally stood up to the most abhorrent and disgusting policies that are like literally starving people and killing people.
Well, at least she's doing it.
I credit where credit due, but I'm not going to overpraise. However, as to Brian Schatz's point, we can't sit here and berate you and be immigrant parents about it and say nothing is ever good enough, because at some point you have to start bringing people in that you don't agree with, because the people that agree with us full bore are not numerous enough to win fucking elections.
And you lost some of them in the last couple fucking cycles.
So you kind of got to take what you can get. And if it's enough that she'll at least turn on Trump, like, okay, fine. Like,
it's the same.
We can at least get coffee. I'm not saying we're getting back together, but we can at least get coffee.
The same situation with Candace Owens too. Also, Candace Owens, same situation. And Candace Owens has been very vocal about the Israel shit for a couple years now. It cost her a job, actually, with Ben Shapiro.
All right, here's my thing. I'm hesitant because this has been going on for 10 years and they both have made a fuck ton of money and public profile growth because of perpetuating horrible things and putting people down and demonizing innocent people, all kinds of shit, right? Granted, you get one chance with me. I will, it's like, I won't come for you, but I'll at least be neutral about it. And to your point, like, yes, well, I accept Candace Owens voting Democrat or turning on Trump or whatever, let it, if Charlie Kirk is the thing that if truthing Charlie Kirk is what radicalizes her, well, then fuck it. Cool. My fear, my skepticism, and my cynicism tell me, though, that if the winds shifted enough to where coming off of that platform made financial or public opinion sense, they change their tune again in 2 fucking seconds.
Yeah, but it hurt
just
her.
Like JD Vance,
but
just
it did
like
hurt her a little
many
bit,
people
though.
In the conservative movement.
It did hurt her a little bit, though, in the conservative atmosphere because
but at
a lot
some
of them are
point,
pro-Jewish.
at some point, you're never going to please everybody. You just have and this is the problem that we have with politics, in why the sports and the horse race of it have pulled us so far from fact. Stop caring about what people think and trying to anticipate what they might vote for.
And
have
maybe
a fucking idea, have a fucking principle, and stick to it. It's like there's an episode of The West Wing where I believe Josh is talking to the pollster Joey Lucas.
Okay.
Played by Marley Matlin.
Joey, phenomenal role, by the way. Joey.
Yeah, amazing recurring guest character on that show. Shout out to translator Kenny. That guy, he had a great radio voice. He nailed inflections with great comedic timing. It was all the fact that you were having a one-on-one conversation, you were missing none of the context, none of the emotion, none of the subtext. And it was three people talking two different languages. And you just, it was a really fucking awesome element of that show. But the point is, I forget what they were arguing about specifically. I think it was at a time pre-re-election campaign when Bartlett was just being a pussy about everything.
Yeah.
He was just dipping his toe in the water and about everything. And Leo finally kind of rips him a new asshole. And he's like, take a stand for something. Take a position.
Leo, best character in the show.
And Joey is having a similar conversation with Josh. And she's saying, it's like the French radical who says, there go my people. I must figure out where they're going so I can lead them. And it's no, you need to just have an idea that brings them to you. You need to have a position that brings them to you. Correct. So the point of all of that is to say that all of these politicians are so caught up in the sports center and the fucking horse race that no, stop trying to anticipate what's going to get people to move. Just listen to what the people are telling you they want and what they need, and then construct policies or support policies that speak to and meaningfully address those needs, and then sell the shit out of them.
Yeah. Agreed.
And the people will come to you. If you build it, they will come. But nobody is selling. And this is exactly why the Democrats lost. They were too busy trying to anticipate what was fucking grabby and what would move people across lines, instead of just saying, hey, here's how I'm going to get the national minimum wage up to $14 an hour, and how that will precipitate getting the local minimum wages in places like Los Angeles and New York up to $22, $23 an hour. That would have got
they are the analytics crowd. The Republican Party are the more emotional.
My dad used to always say paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I do appreciate the fact that
you're so busy guessing what everybody's trying to do. You're not spending any time being creative, innovative, or just having a fucking idea.
This is what I'll give Candace Owens credit though. The Israel thing isn't new. She didn't come out of nowhere. She challenged her boss. She challenged her boss on this while she was employed by the Daily Wire on the issues in Gaza, and she stuck to her guns, and it cost her a job.
Okay, so what I will say is, like an Aussie would say, good on you. Good for you.
You're rough, bro.
But
I get it. I get it. The grift. I get it.
Let it. Okay, so a dear friend of mine, one of my best girlfriends in the whole wide world, she always says this, that an apology is a multi-phase process over an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Recognizing what you did, atoning for it, and apologizing for it is just the opening salvo to an entire symphony.
Well, she never apologized for it. She's still a conservative.
Before the end of that,
she is still conservative. Let's be clear about that. She's still conservative. In
fact, yes. And what I'm saying is that, an apology begins with obviously recognizing what you did, but now you have to take action to remedy that and truly be accountable and change your behavior and demonstrate that over a sustained period of time, this isn't just It's not just the abusive boyfriend love bombing you for 3 months after slapping you in the face to get you to come back, and then everything flips right back to the way it was the second it's convenient and you've forgotten.
True, but I don't think
that's kind of the thing that I'm afraid. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens are abusive to the public, so I don't believe them when they say I'm sorry and buy me flowers. I'm gonna need to see a little more from you.
I also don't think it's right for us to think that because we are on the left side that we own that argument too. I think it's okay 100%. For someone conservative, right? If a conservative actually feels about domestic policy, but in terms of Israel, agree with that. It's okay.
You know, we've got, at least you, insofar as you and I in this show are concerned, we've got the receipts because we've been. Have I not been every bit as hard on Bernie or Gavin Newsom as I have?
Oh, no. You're consistent. You are. You both are. You are, especially too. But
because trust me, I got as much smoke for Gavin Newsom as I've got for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't care about a lot of Marjorie Taylor Greene's nonsense because it's just so far fucking out there and so far afield of reason. People like that don't warrant my time trying to convince them. But say somebody like Gavin Newsom, who I have an equal amount of smoke for, but has demonstrated he has a conscience, can listen, can be shown reason. He has good ideas and he has good ration. Like even the ideas he has that I don't agree with, he has sound rationale behind his position that can be reasoned with. So cool. But yeah, I have as much smoke for the left as I do for the right.
Yeah.
I think that's important in saying like why I'm being kind of a stubborn ass about Marjorie Taylor Greene right now.
Right, I get criticized a lot by people on the left because they say that I critique the left more than the right. But the reason why I critique more left more than the right is because of the fact that if the left is the gatekeeper to keeping things sane, then I have to make sure you're correcting the thing. You can't tell me that Donald Trump is the threat to democracy, and then the solution that is to make sure the 18-year-old fucking guy who looks like he's about to die any minute now is the option. Sorry.
Well, and to your point, that's where Gavin Newsom deserves a flower, for example, because he can engage in the troll. He will bust balls with the best of them.
Oh, he's doing a good job of it.
He doesn't then go out and make a speech in an earnest condition and then spew like easily provable lies and mistruths. You know, the things he's saying about the positions he's holding or the bills he's vetoing or the bills he's signing, whatever that may be, or the campaigning he's doing, like the things he's saying factually check out way more often than not. It's not to say he's not incorrect. That's not to say he doesn't lie. That's not to say he doesn't mislead. Every fucking politician does. But the rate at which he does it is exceptionally low.
And I tell my friends all the time, like, I people continue to get themselves in knots of this shit. I keep it simple. Like, Donald Trump, even if he wasn't an authoritarian, I wouldn't vote for him. Because why? It comes down to the simplest things of why I do this in the first place. It's called policy. Do I like your policy? Yeah. Yes or no? If my mother, who I love to death, ran on Donald Trump's policy as president, my mom is not getting my vote. I'm that principle of the policy. Well, that's simple.
I look at it this way. At the end of the day, when you boil away, like this is the thing in movies, like whenever they try to like flick the ball sack of the villain, it's like, oh, so at the end of the day, your scheme just boils down to petty theft. Burglar. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's an employer-employee relationship, and you shouldn't put any more emotion into your relationship with politics and policy than that, and politicians, because at the end of the day, they work for you. It is their job to get you what you need, and those two interests are diametrically opposed to each other because them keeping their jobs in many ways is dependent on selling you the fuck out. So treat them like your employer treats you. Does your employer genuinely give a fuck about many of the circumstances or any of the circumstances taking place in your life if it impacts? No. They care about your production. They care about your attendance. They care about you shutting the fuck up and doing what you're told. So treat your politicians the same fucking way. Hold them to the standard of, are you doing the job? What have you done for me lately? And get back to fucking work. Stop treating them like sports teams. I can have a whimsical, emotional, silly relationship with a sports team because they don't pay my bills. It's not their job to pay my bills. Nothing they're doing impacts my day-to-day life other than maybe my blood pressure.
And that's by choice, for the record.
Yes. Stop treating politicians like sports teams. Treat them like what they are. You're fucking employees.
By the way, your voice acting amazing. You deserve applause. Seriously, you just do. You just do.
That was a good little like quasi Jason Statham.
That was good. It is clear though. Before we move on to the next topic, it is clear though that Gavin Newsom is not just the front runner. He's probably the heavy favorite now to
represent. Segue to that on the rundown.
That's perfect. It's like you've been doing this fucking like 13 years with me, 14 years with me. Like, come on.
Yeah,
it's clear he's the Democratic front runner now by far.
Yeah, it's not even close. To me, I mean, we kind of talked about this offline a little bit, and we're shooting texts back and forth, and we're talking about sort of our top 5 and what we see. And you've asked me this question numerous times since the election of like what my bench is or what like my draft board looks like. I don't fucking know. I don't think.
I did a list and I couldn't put it together. I have who I want versus who I think.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's time. I think it's timely that Michelle Obama said what a lot of us are thinking is. I forget who was interviewing her, but there was
Tracy Ellis Ross. I covered this on the podcast.
Tracy Ellis Ross, thank you.
I covered it on Tuesday.
Tracy Ellis Ross doing a one-on-one with Michelle Obama in front of a big room of attendees, and then it's of course become a podcast episode. And
I may have the clip still. Hold on. I may have the clip. Hold on.
Oh, you actually have that?
I think I do. Hold on. I play on the show on Tuesday. That's why. Keep talking. I'm gonna
okay. Yeah.
Keep talking.
So the point of that is, there was I forget what the specific setup was that teed Michelle up to make this comment. However, Mrs. Obama, excuse me. I don't remember what exactly Tracy Ellis Ross said that teed Michelle Obama up to make this comment, but it was that like, y'all can miss me with all that run for president bullshit because you're not ready for a woman president. You've demonstrated it repeatedly. You don't like the idea of having a woman as a boss. You're not ready for it. So quit telling me to do it. I'm not like I don't like politics in the first place. I didn't like it when Barack ran.
I got it right here. Hold on. Here we go.
Obviously paraphrasing and hyperbole.
That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. We got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
Real quick. Real quick, too, and I'll piggyback on what the First Lady said, which is that mostly among white women, I tend to hear this. However, the number of women, again, mostly from the suburbs, white women who have depended on their dads, maybe well into their 20s, if not 30s, have a thing. They will take the position of, I love me a boss bitch, but I don't think a woman should be president because women are too emotional, women are too this, women are too that.
I do think
I've heard that more times than I would like to be able to admit.
I do think though that if there's a woman that can actually win the presidency, she's the one.
I would think
the name helps. Number one is Obama because you know who she is. She's definitely way more authentic than Kamala Harris is, and certainly Hillary Clinton. That's not even a conversation. She's no bullshit, dude. She just only pulling punches, so you can appreciate that. She can pull independents and moderates.
I think you're true. I think that's right to a point, but kind of as a callback, let me say that, like, your friend might not have a problem voting for Michelle Obama, but I bet you 4 out of 5 of his cousins do.
Most of his cousins probably voted for Trump anyway, a Republican anyway.
Well, that's true as well.
So it doesn't matter.
But I just mean to say, I think unless, you're right if the campaign is not yet another hollow-ass neoliberal AIPAC-sponsored bullshit. If Michelle Obama were to come forth with a platform that is actually worth investing in, that addresses wage problems, that addresses housing problems, food access, utility access.
She's certainly better communicating that shit than anybody else is.
If she basically adapted Zoran's platform to federal policy and ran on that, yes, I think everything you're saying is true. If she were to be everything she is and try to sell us Kamala Harris's platform, I think the same thing happens.
True, and I agree with you. But Kamala Harris's campaign was also pretty much run by the Bidenites.
Well, yeah.
I don't think Obama. I think Michelle Obama will have a clean slate and a clean.
Well, yes and no, because think about it.
Plus, we don't even know what Michelle Obama's actual politics are. To be honest with you, we know what Barack's politics are. We don't know Michelle's.
True, but I would invite you to detach that a little bit, because we've dissected the Bernie Hillary stuff to death on this show. But like in that spirit, it was less to do with Biden Harris messaging and more to do that Biden was the head of the DNC, obviously, and he was the loudest, most consistent mouthpiece for their overwhelming, trajectory, decision making, and like he echoed everything that has been neoliberal, Clintonite, Obama bullshit that buried Bernie, like all of that. He's towed the line 100%.
Yeah.
So to me, it's less about like Biden Harris and more about party Harris, because it's the same thing that sunk Bernie. It's the same thing that caused problems for AOC and the squad early in their careers. It's that same thing. It's that the rich people at the top are opposed to policies that are socialist because their corporate donors hate it.
And yet you could argue it's the reason they lose elections, because here it is. Kamala last year opens her campaign talking about housing, talking about affordability, talking about all these things you want to hear as a middle class voter. Okay. And you see the polling, her polling went through the roof. And then
as soon as she started doing what the donors said, she tanked.
Yeah, because they said stop talking about this, and she did stop talking about that kind of stuff. Ain't gonna happen. Trump did. Trump could talk about it.
He did.
And he won.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I've always said. He lied and he captured people because he was at least speaking to these things.
He's a great messenger.
He never had
a great messenger.
Yeah,
period.
In some ways, he never had any intention of following through on any of those things. But he knew what he needed to say in order to get you to, and Kamala Harris didn't talk to those things.
I do feel like
she would have more earnestly, if she'd actually embraced that shit, she would have more earnestly, I think, worked to facilitate those things.
I do think
to it,
Mark. I do think a Michelle Obama campaign, and I know she's not going to run, and she's not going to run. I know that, but a Michelle Obama run campaign, she will not take that bullshit the same way Kamala would. Kamala took it because it's Kamala. Michelle is. I think Michelle's a lot more.
Yes, but unfortunately, where I think Michelle ultimately becomes disqualified, in your point, while valid, I think she, in a vacuum, that's probably true. I don't think she's going to allow herself to be bullied by anybody.
Right.
However, in doing so, the next big pitfall that you run into is that if everything you're saying is true, that's going to run her afoul of her own husband's career and presidency. Because it's going to start bringing up questions about drone strikes and Palestine and all kinds and deportations and other things. It's not going to be a fair criticism. I'm just saying it's the next thing on the list. It's what's going to get lobbed. So it's going to be a distraction to me. That
I think we're past the point of moral code, because I think.
I need us to stop saying that. I need us to reclaim it.
But I think we're past
Stop accepting moral bankruptcy.
It doesn't win elections, dude. It doesn't win elections anymore. And this is why Gavin Newsom is now indulging this shit now. Okay. Trump's going to tweet in bold letters. I'm going to tweet in bold letters and trolling. Who trolls politicians? No one does.
Being moral does not mean being a pussy or being a coward. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Just because Gavin Newsom, if you look at Gavin Newsom's record, he has missteps. He has things that he needs to explain for that he hasn't done a great job explaining, of course. But if you look at his overall public profile, going all the way back to even before he was mayor of San Francisco, his ethical, personal, moral track record is pretty clean. Has he pulled any punches? No. Zoran, same thing.
Same thing.
So no, I don't think being moral and being a bitch are mutually exclusive.
Okay.
And I think maybe a little bit we might be just having a semantic misunderstanding a little bit, in the sense that, like, I don't think bringing morality back into the political discourse means being a spineless bitch.
Yeah.
It's saying that, like, look, not only do I have better ideas than my opponent is a 34 times over fucking criminal who has admitted repeatedly to sexually assaulting people gleefully, and as we now know, has been mentioned 11 times in the Epstein reports. This is an immoral person who doesn't know what they're doing and is not going to follow through on the things they are promising you. Here are my ideas. Here are my promises. Let's get to work.
I will. Here's what's factual, though, and we'll move on to another topic after this. This was factual. Gavin Newsom and Michelle Obama are by far better communicators than Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. That is
1,000% correct.
Well, I think
you know what it is? They're just more likable.
But they also communicate very well, and they're very clear. They don't bullshit you. So
you feel like everything has been rehearsed to death with Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton.
Yes,
it's like
unauthentic.
It's like Belichick quarterback press conference shit.
Right. I can see Michelle Obama on the Joe Rogan podcast. I can see it. I can see a world when that happens. I can't see Kamala Harris doing it.
And the time, and it's interesting because we've talked about this ad nauseum too, going all the way back to even her first attempt at a presidential run. When Kamala Harris lets her mask slip and you actually see the type of person she is when a motherfucker drops here or there.
Is a piece of that. The book tour, there's a new book tour. Is a little bit.
A bit. But I just mean to say, when you actually see who it appears she might be behind closed doors, I find her to be a very likable, funny.
I do too.
Like, she's a ball buster. I think she strikes me as like one of those bosses or teachers that, like, it's a little tough at first. They're a little hard on you, but once you prove yourself and they kind of like get you to understand their way, you end up absolutely adoring them and having a very like funny banter with them. That's what the vice president strikes me as. Is that kind of boss or teacher. She's a hard ass, but like once you prove yourself, it ends up being a lot of fun. I feel like if she was just more sincere and more authentic, people would have a much more favorable view of her. But unfortunately, what they see is committee hearings and campaign speeches and very rehearsed interviews. And there are very few snippets of her being authentic.
Well, here's one right here. I'm going to show you right here.
Like early Breakfast Club shit was super, super enlightening.
Somewhat, yeah.
2024 campaign, not so much.
I mentioned Kamala and the book tour. Here's one clip from that, actually. Here it is here. I found it on the internet right now. Look at that. Boom. Come on. This is a Gaza protester.
I'm really getting sick of that.
They're booing him right now. The guy. Where's that? Hold on. Where's that?
Okay, so just real quick, because all we're hearing is booing.
Yeah, I found it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
I hate that. The same person that was telling people not to vote. I'm not president. And if you want to talk about legacy, let's talk about the legacy of mass deportation.
She went. When I
but you know what? That was.
I think
you know what? That.
Wait.
Hold on.
Here we go. The reason why every time I see this clip, I think of you. You know why? You remember she first ran in 2019. You always called her auntie. That's the auntie shit right there, bro. That's the auntie shit right there.
No, I see what you're doing, and I understand why it's tricking you into believing that, but I don't buy it, and here's why.
What was it?
It's a very deft and well executed straw man argument because it happens to be correct. However, I understand why she's upset. I'll even give her a little, this is not the place for that conversation. And she's factually correct. I'm not the president. I'm not the commander in chief of the military. I don't have final say on defense spending, purchase or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
All true. But Gaza is one of the things that cost you the election. So quit trying to deflect and while yes, obviously mass deportations are happening and you were right to caution against that. You did not take adequate responsibility for you are a member of that administration. Whether or not you have your finger on the red button or not is irrelevant. And you had an opportunity and a responsibility to distance yourself from that very obviously wrong-headed course of action. Hindsight has taught us unequivocally that what is taking place in Gaza and the West Bank is a genocide. It's a colonial conquest mission by
Charlie Kirk said that too, also, for the record.
And an avalanche of war crimes and human rights violations. To call it anything less than that is irresponsible at best and abhorrent at worst. So while she is correct and she graciously executes the delivery of her point and tempers from just quiet poise or makes the transition from quiet poise into ferocious messenger instantaneously, and you could see her turning into a prosecutor in Cross.
But that was my point though, more than else.
But ultimately it's a very well packaged and deft deflection.
So my one point was that it was less about the subject, more about the openness, because she was a lot more cleaner on the campaign 100%. Trail.
Okay, so I'll give you a better example. I think the brightest spot in her entire campaign, and as a result, a missed springboard, was in the debate when she was so taken aback by one of President Trump's responses that she literally almost opened her rebuttal with "this motherfucker," and she had to catch herself at "this
That's the auntie. That's the auntie.
That was the most human moment she had throughout her entire campaign.
I agree.
And had she leaned into that and embraced that part of her personality and used that moment in the debate to be, for example, at a rally or at a one-on-one with a 10,000 person audience, right, and to where she can be like, man, do y'all know how hard it is to prove you understand how maddening this man is? I almost called him my favorite swear word on globally televised live debate.
Yeah.
That's how much this man unhinges me. And if she had done something like that, I'd have been like, all right, now I feel some human connection with you. Yeah, but she didn't do that.
Yeah. Well,
she didn't listen to Bruno Gianelli. She listened to everybody else.
Well, I am angry right now, Mark, because obviously the baseball season was sucked for me because the Mets, what they did. But I think I'm just as angry about the MVP voting.
Yeah.
Specifically the American League. Like National League, whatever. Like there's a case of Schwarber, but Ohtani winning, I'm not getting
Not really.
He had more home runs, really. But again, because, I get it.
I was gonna say to overshadow we'll make it really quick because everybody has beaten this to fucking death on baseball pods. But
fuck them. I haven't talked about it on the show yet, so it's new.
I know, but the information and the take is readily available, so I'm just gonna make it super, super, super quick.
Yeah,
Kyle Schwarber's offensive numbers would have had to be outlandishly ahead of Shohei Ohtani to overcome the combination of the full spectrum of what he does on the field and in the clubhouse and the total value he provides to a team. His pitching numbers were approaching Cy Young levels. And as technically not up for consideration, but to further underscore what he did in the postseason throughout, not necessarily as much on the World Series, but throughout the postseason. Obviously, he was the NLCS MVP. Kyle Schwarber's offensive production and total report card do not outpace Shohei Ohtani enough in the things that he's ahead on.
And that's why I won't argue that point. That point, I get it. I'm not going to.
It's just not close. But the American League,
that shit,
the dumper got shit on. And shit on.
And let me rephrase this to Yankee fans. This is not about Aaron Judge. We know Aaron Judge is the best player in the American League.
Generational player, one of the greatest of all time. His position as the best in baseball is only overshadowed by the fact that he's playing at the same time in history as Shohei Ohtani. It's like
that is it. Who might
the myriad of elite Hall of Fame players who got overshadowed by Michael Jordan.
Right. However, and we got to pause real quick. My wife's calling me. Give me a second, all right?
God damn it.
Okay, we're back. My wife called during the recording. So, all right, we were talking about the American League. Again, this is less about Aaron Judge.
Cal Raleigh got shit on.
He 64 home runs as a catcher. If I'm not mistaken, Seattle was a higher ranked seeded team this year than the Yankees were going to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So look, I know voting cuts off at the end of the year. They announce it after the season's over.
Sure.
But the voting
October doesn't come into consideration beyond your seeding going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that is it. It's malpractice. I'm sorry. It is New York. I know New Yorkers saying this shit. It's New York.
No, it is. Biases. It is for a few reasons. Because one of the breakdowns I saw of like how egregious and why this is, but it demonstrated how in a whole variety of offensive categories, Aaron Judge does outperform Cal Raleigh marginally. He's technically green to Cal Raleigh's red in like 12.5 categories, whether it's OPS, slugging, I don't know exactly which, but it's a lot of them. However, when you look at just the sheer number of, call it, defensive exposures and opportunities that Cal Raleigh had, it was one of the figures that they pointed to was that something like, first of all, playing right field, particularly at Yankee Stadium, is easy with a short porch. Easy as it relates to other positions on the field for being a Major League Baseball player. That's not to say you or I could do it. But, for example, when Aaron Judge is hurt, who do they trot out there to play right field? Giancarlo fucking Stanton. And while I maybe don't have the hand-eye coordination to be able to make every play on a ball, I'm going to go out on a limb and say my knees function a little better than his, even with my knee surgery. So the point is, if Giancarlo Stanton can play right field at Yankee Stadium, obviously it's not nearly as hard statistically, and it's provable. Like by the numbers, right field is the easiest position on the field in professional baseball.
Right.
So Cal Raleigh had something like 17,000 pitches in the dirt that would have been pass balls. He did not allow a single one. Aaron Judge only had something like 2,200 balls hit to him all season.
Yeah. By the way, I was wrong. Yankees,
and that's only one element of the defensive facets of playing catcher.
Yeah. By the way, while the Yankees were the lower seeded team, they had the best record in baseball with the Blue Jays. In the American League, rather.
Yeah. And with thousands more opportunities than Judge, Cal Raleigh had something. I forget the number of defense. I think Judge had him beat in defensive assists, but in like defensive percentage, I'm probably not stating the name of that statistic correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. That like defensive average number. Aaron Judge was 996. Cal Raleigh was 995. And mind you, again, Cal Raleigh had thousands more attempts than Aaron Judge or opportunities to make a mistake. And he finished 0.001% behind Aaron Judge in opportunities completed. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's incredible.
While kneeling all game, not being useless on the base path, and playing mentally the toughest position on the field.
He has 64
it's not close.
It's not complicated, bro. Mark. He had 64 fucking home runs. He had 64 motherfucking home runs. That's it. Fuck you. Anybody else? I don't give a shit. You voters, you don't fucking suck. He had 64 fucking home runs.
The only players who've ever hit that many are juiced. Like,
yes.
And
what are we
not
doing
to
here?
say that they shouldn't be in Cooperstown. I absolutely think Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds should be in Cooperstown. But the only guys that have ever hit more than 62 home runs have been fucking juiced.
Yeah. He had 64 fucking home runs. That's all I need to know. I'm done.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's the same. I mean, how? Okay. And it's perfect that we referenced the Ohtani versus Schwarber, like why it's such a quick and easy decision. It should have been just as quick and easy for the exact same fucking reason that with Raleigh and Aaron Judge, in that, sure, Aaron Judge, like you're splitting hairs to say that Aaron Judge is a better overall offensive player than Cal Raleigh. It's neck and neck. So let's call that a wash.
Right.
The minute you bring into the conversation the defensive part or the, you know, the conversation ends. No different than like Schwarber's performance in the field doesn't come anywhere close to Ohtani's production on the mound.
Yep.
Aaron Judge's value to his ball club as a defensive player doesn't do shit to contribute to win share compared to Cal Raleigh's contribution in the field. Who is if the Seattle Mariners had Alejandro Kirk and the Blue Jays had Cal Raleigh, do you think the 8th and 9th innings go the way they do in Game 7? I don't. I'll take the bats completely out of it. Just pitch calling, defensive decisions, messaging that would have been going on, just keeping everybody calm, leading the defense. Those are the things about being a catcher that are really fucking hard. Nobody gives you credit for. And also, let's go one step further. Just a couple of, or not a couple, but within the last 10, 15 years, we were having conversations on this podcast about how offensive production among catchers across the board had fallen off so wildly that there were only a handful of like decent hitting catchers in baseball. And at the time it was like JT Realmuto, the Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
And Cal Raleigh explode.
And a little bit Brian McCann, but he was at that point dropping off.
Right.
But so you're talking about out of 32 teams, like 3-4 guys that are considered real heavy bats. Cal Raleigh is the heaviest fucking bat in baseball, and he's a catcher.
Exactly.
Like that is different
bullshit
than being a right fielder and having a heavy bat.
Right. Did you want to cover this story? You sent me this morning about the Padres.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Let's play the clip first.
Hold on. I'm gonna break my boycott for just a second. One second.
Your boycott. Okay. Oh yeah.
Hold on.
I'll play the video in the meantime though for the listeners while we're. I'll play this. Okay, for the listeners, here's a clip of Dave Sampson from another personal podcast discussing the San Diego Padres crazy ownership situation.
Are losing so much money that they've got to sell the team or get rid of the players. And what turned out is that they're doing both. Padres, we've been telling you for years, are an irresponsibly run organization by a GM who does not understand that his job is not to have his owner lose money hand over fist and keep signing irresponsible players just because your owner says, hey man, I'm an idiot. Go ahead and do it. My brother wanted it. The Padres were owned by Peter Seidler, who was trying to catch the Dodgers, and it's like chasing a rabbit by a dog in a track. It's never going to happen. Peter Seidler tragically passes away. Rest in peace. I miss him every time I think about the Padres. But do you think it's a shock that his heirs and assigns are both fighting and selling the team? The Padres are run about as irresponsibly as any team out there, and I include the Mets in there.
Hey, that's a fucking shot, asshole. And by the way, fuck that hat and that shirt.
That's why I say I'm breaking my boycott for this segment.
Okay, cool.
Segment only because basically since the Padres went from blue and gold back to brown and gold,
Yeah.
They have been just that. Absolute dog shit. A dog shit organization, dog shit character players, and dog shit fans. I have been to
Because
so many
Steve Cohen,
I have been over so many years to so many Padres games wearing jerseys that look just like this, including this one since 2020. And the degree of like virulent crap I catch has massively increased as the heat of this quote unquote rivalry has risen. However, throughout, the Padres have demonstrated to be an organization that isn't invested in integrity in the clubhouse, isn't invested in character. The thing that really ties the Dodgers together is not the number of 9-figure players they have, it's the fabric of the mentality of the players that they have. Every single fucking guy on the Dodgers is the type of guy that doesn't want a statue, doesn't want their name on a building, doesn't want a part of the outfield named after them. They just want to do whatever is necessary to contribute to the team. It just so happens that 3 of them are MVP caliber players, and as many as 6 of them could be all-stars in any given season.
All right, let's continue.
But like, but yeah, that's the point. Is the Dodgers are identifying a certain type of player, not just overpaying really talented people with money they don't have.
The glazing the Dodgers is back. I love it. Okay, let's watch the video quick and we'll get to
it's not so much glazing the Dodgers as it is shitting on the Padres, because I have some friends who are really honest to goodness Padres fans, and like we go back and forth like flicking each other's earlobes, and it's all in good fun. But a lot of these fucking Padres fans are Johnny-come-lately pieces of shit who say awful things to their seat neighbors, and they're a reflection of the dickheads on the field. Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis are pieces of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Funds the losses by writing checks. The Seidler family has no interest in writing checks. They were borrowing money to make payroll. They were doing bridge loans. They were getting access to capital markets. They were doing everything they can, and they've been checkmated. So what do you do when you're checkmated? Some people lay down the king. Some people take out an ad in the paper and write a letter. The Seidler family released a letter saying the family has decided to begin the process of evaluating our future with the Padres. Do you think the Seidler family has a bunch of people in it working on behalf of Peter as his executor, as his heir, as his assign? And do you think they looked at the Padres and said, listen, Peter, I love you, man. You'll always be in my heart. But I ain't writing checks because you have Preller sign all these guys who are overpaid and under-delivering. I can't do it. So I'm going to begin the process of evaluating our future. What a bunch of horse hockey. They're selling the team.
Horse hockey!
It's exactly what we told you they'd have to do. Because they've been cutting payroll for a couple of years. It's still not low enough. The math in San Diego doesn't work. The payroll is too high. And why would Peter Seidler's heirs want to be associated with what is certainly going to happen?
All right.
Okay, quick sidebar. The beard and shaved head is giving an unsettling Manson aesthetic.
He might be. Go on. I think the hair is for his daughter is really sick. I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if this is showed regularly. His daughter's really sick.
Fine, if you want to go and be all altruistic and wholesome about it, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a tough situation. No, and I think that he shaved his head.
But he's still giving Manson. Sorry.
Okay, no, I'm with you. I'm just saying. I think the bald head was more so in for his daughter. She has cancer or something like that.
No, and that's fine, good, and beautiful. But I'm still standing on my observation.
The beard definitely is Manson. I heard for years that the things with the Padres have been pretty rough. I didn't think it was this bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's been a mess in San Diego for a long time, and it's really unfortunate because like I've had friends work for the ball club, like. As recently as 8-9 years ago, it was, I don't know what it's like now, but it was a wonderful place to work as a fan going to games there. The experience at Petco Park is unparalleled. I would argue that the non-baseball elements of that park are top 2 in baseball that I've ever seen. It's right up there with Citi Field. And in terms of overall fan experience. and providing elements for maybe a more casual fan or children who aren't going to sit there and watch a 4-hour baseball game wire to wire. All of that to say, it's cool that the Dodgers have another division rival in a way, but they tried to cut corners. They tried to do what everyone accused the Dodgers of doing before the rest of the baseball commentary community finally came to their defense. But like the Padres attempted to do what everyone accused the Dodgers of doing, which is just overspending on flash in the pan talent to try to knock off the champ. And it blew up in their face, because where the Dodgers are different is they don't just invest in marquee all-stars. They invest in every level of their organization. Go look at the Dodgers facilities in Oklahoma City, or some even like single A or double A affiliates. Those guys travel, eat, sleep, and work out like big leaguers. They don't experience all of the motels and banquet food and crappy conditions that a lot of other minor league ball players have to endure.
Right.
That's a huge part of it. The Dodgers pitching prospects, they have so many fucking arms in their farm system that like they have guys that would be starters on big league clubs that can't break out a double A.
Yeah.
And that's where the Padres fail. Yes, the Dodgers do have some marquee talent that is sustaining them right now, but this is what when I signed off on the God, who was it? It was Adrian. There was a huge trade. It was Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, and I want to say a third player, maybe a pitcher, when the Dodgers were really trying to make some big moves to revamp their lineup in the wake of the McCourt ouster. And I said, these are not going to win. These moves are not going to win us championships, but they're going to break the boycott and get people back to the boycott, or back to the ballpark, and buy them time for what they're doing to invest in the farm system. And now here we are 10 years later. Their farm system doesn't look like any other farm system in baseball. They have an army of talent ready to replace the guys that are already replace the squad that is wildly stacked as it is. So,
by the way, you sound just like David Sanson.
I know, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He's almost like a third of a register higher than me.
Yeah, he is.
But there's a very similar.
There's some similarities there. What do you think? What do you think of LeBron's debut on Tuesday night?
Welcome back. He looked nice. 12 assists. That was fucking great.
Fit in well.
If he can function as a facilitator and a pick and roll player, I don't think it's like a question of him accepting the role like that. That just never has stricken. He's always been like, I mean, he was criticized at 22 for being the guy who passes instead of taking the shot triple covered with 3 seconds to go. So he's always demonstrated a high basketball IQ and a tendency towards making the smart move. And so to me, he's not a fucking idiot. He can see the writing on the wall. Austin and Luka are balling out right now. And his best thing he can do is contribute to that. And then when Luka rolls his ankle in a few weeks in the Christmas Day game and then has to sit out until the All-Star game, LeBron can go off and average 34 points a game and sustain what's happening. And then Luka will come back and LeBron will shift back more into a facilitator role. Hopefully they make a couple of moves by the trade deadline, and now we make a real push to get into the finals. I still think it's OKC's league to lose, and the way they're set up with like the way they have top 10 unprotected picks from the Clippers and shit like that, that'll probably turn into a top 5 pick. They're going to be dangerous for like another 10 years. So it's really OKC and everybody else right now. But outside of OKC, the West, who they likely beat in the Western Conference Finals.
So right now the standings
is
Denver, OKC, Denver, Houston, San Antonio is still hanging around. Wemby got hurt, but he's still hanging around. Timberwolves are really good. And that's pretty much the top 5 teams in the conference.
I think San Antonio's a real threat, but they're still a little ripe on, or a
But a year away
on the vine. They remind me a little bit of whereabouts the Thunder were right before they broke up the band. Like they were right on the cusp of that next level.
San Antonio's a year away from being a final
contender. You could see the talent, but they weren't quite there yet.
Yeah, San Antonio, I think, is one more year of like really gelling from making this actually being a finals contender.
Yeah,
Wemby's here. He's here.
Yeah, I think the Warriors are interesting.
Yeah.
To me, the only teams in the West that matter right now are the top teams you mentioned, of course, OKC, Denver, San Antonio, Houston, and then
Minnesota.
because they are who they are, they're going to get a little more attention than their production warrants. So that enters the conversation are the Lakers and Warriors. So they're going to get outsized attention because they're the Lakers. And
you can
Warriors.
sell me the Lakers for the Warriors, buddy. You sell me the Lakers. The Warriors, no. I think
okay.
I just don't trust to stay healthy enough. There's enough in the fighting.
Health is there. They got 3 Anthony Davises on their team, basically.
Steph got hurt on Tuesday last night.
It's one of those things that if their top players are in the game and being able to create opportunities for their secondary and tertiary players, well, then they're a threat. But if everybody's not on the floor, and you're counting on the bench to save you, well, then you're fucked because they're not deep enough.
Here's the bottom line: they're not cracking top 6, barring injury. They're not cracking the top 16.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna sneak into the playoffs and be disrupted. Like they could do the sort of thing, like in the first round, they come in as a 7 seed and upset Houston, who cracks a 2 seed because of historical hatred or something. I'm just saying that's the pinnacle of what they could hope for. And then getting swept in the second round.
You wanna if you're a Warriors fan, you get a 7 seed, you want to hope that Minnesota or San Antonio gains ground, or even the Lakers gain ground in the conference, because they are, bro. If they play OKC or Denver or even Houston in the first round, they're done in no less than 5 games.
Okay, but if they can get to 6 and the Lakers are at 4, now you've got a series.
Get to 6, they'll probably play Houston. Better chance it's Houston against everybody else, but
I would think Houston is their best opportunity, because even though Houston is a pound for pound better team, just that historical hatred from Steph and Steve Kerr, and the experience. I think that's where the experience of Jimmy Butler, Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry kind of tips the scale a little bit.
I agree with that. No fucking shot against Denver. They get swept by OKC.
Oh yeah, Denver or OKC. They're in Cancun within a week of that series tipping off. 100%.
And by the way,
travel and all.
I don't even fun. OKC right now, as we record this podcast, they're 15-1 right now. 15-1 without Jalen Williams, who hasn't played a minute of basketball this year yet.
Sorry, which team?
The Thunder. They're 15-1 right now, right?
Oh.
15-1 without their second best player, Jalen Williams, who's a top 10 player in the league at this point now.
Yeah. And they have more high first round picks coming.
Yeah. So what
is being projected to be a historic 2003-4 ass draft class.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. So they're in a position that you wish every team
could be. They are the odds-on favorites, pound for pound, way better than every other team. And we've got a 96-03 ass draft coming their way, and they've got picks.
All right, before we get out of here, there's one more topic. I know you shot this to me last week. I'm gonna play the clip.
Okay, hold on. Real quick aside before we move off the NBA. What the fuck are the Knicks doing?
I mean, they won last night.
But they tried really hard not to. Did you watch that game last night?
I watched a little bit. I was in
a phone call. I see a lot more Knicks games. Yeah, so I watched that whole game, and it was literally I think when they finally got the lead back and made it 109-108 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time they'd led since the first.
I know we beat them last
Dallas didn't even have Cooper Flag or AD.
Oh, neither of those guys played?
No.
Wow.
No Cooper Flag.
I wasn't into the game.
Dallas led decisively most of the game, and only by sheer grit did they claw back into it in the fourth quarter.
I was recording last night. That's why I couldn't watch
Even in the fourth quarter, they were trying to give it the fuck away. Like Mitchell Robinson was missing free throws. Somebody else, one of the other guards, was missing free throws. I think Josh Smith was making some stupid fucking fouls, or Josh Hart was making some stupid fucking fouls. Like I was looking at because I was wearing a Lakers jacket last night. I have this really dope like Lakers varsity jacket that I caught for $30 at Ant. Hold on, really quick, because it's right here. You got to see this thing.
No, go ahead. Bring that jacket. Yeah, the Knicks are 9-5 right now, but they're let me see.
This is a like full weight.
That's cool.
Like varsity jacket, like high school varsity jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's dope.
$30.
That's something you would have saw in the 80s too, also.
And dude, I'm telling you, I wear jerseys that cost $200-$300, like authentic throwback Kobe shit with my Grinches. I get more daps on the street in New York wearing that $30 jacket than anything that's like a unicorn in my apparel collection.
Well, it's Kobe.
But yeah. So I was wearing that last night, and so obviously people in Knicks gear are busting my balls a little bit and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm rooting for the Knicks. I have no misaligned interest here, but what the fuck are you guys doing? You're trying to give this game away all night. 50-50 balls, turnovers, missed free throws, just like sloppy shit.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna play a quick video. You sent this to me last week for something we want to cover. This is Penny Hardaway. This is what Penny Hardaway to me.
Oh yeah.
Top 3 for me, what if, in NBA and possibly sports history. Here's a clip right now.
This to me is tied very close to the top with the Chris Paul trade.
Yeah, here we go. Penny Hardaway is disrespect here.
Mm-hmm.
In his prime at that time, that's how nice he was. He was only second, third year player going up against MJ and giving him work.
It was no accident that in his second year and Shaq's third year, we went to the finals.
The IQ, the vision, the passing ability, being able to score inside, outside, everything you wanted out of a basketball player, like he was the prototype.
For a while, it was, when you talk about the most popular players, it was Michael Jordan, then Penny Hardaway. Like, everybody had those pennies too.
Penny Hardaway has the most underrated run of signature shoes in the history of signature shoes.
Like, that was my Michael Jordan. How he played on the court, bro. It was like poetry in motion.
Phenomenal player, athletic at the point guard position, great passer, great vision, and just had tremendous feel for the game.
You have Google, look and see who Penny was. And remember, Penny came in day one like this. He was that talented. And anybody who played against him would tell you the same thing. Like, he was coming.
Like I remember when he debuted.
No,
I was 13 years old when he debuted. 12 years old.
I was in 5th grade, living in Vegas, and it's interesting because we were kind of talking about this on the last show about how like hoop culture and hip hop culture was just so much more ubiquitous in Vegas than like the school that I grew up in LA. And this is a perfect example of that. It seemed like overnight I'm watching these marionette cartoons of this loudmouth, what turned out to be Chris Rock commercials for Nike, and everybody's wearing Orlando Magic jerseys, and it's not Shaq. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And they're like, Penny Hardaway. I'm like, who the fuck is Penny? I swear to God, it was like overnight. Half my school had Penny Hardaway jerseys, and everybody was like eyeballing foam posits before there was social media. It was so instantaneous, and he was so explosive. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Shaq actually, if I'm pretty sure of this, I swear I saw it in like a 30 for 30 or some similar type of documentary. Because I believe it was a documentary about how Shaq left Orlando. And of course, there was a lot of like context and setup.
Wait, was it the 30 for 30? Do you believe in magic?
I think it,
because I watched that a couple of years ago. It's really.
I don't know if it was "Do You Believe in Magic," but I want to say it was.
It does cover. It does.
Oh no, there was one. There was one specifically about Penny and Shaq, I believe.
Yeah, that's one on ESPN. Look at it right now.
Oh, it's called "Do You Believe in Magic"?
Yeah.
I thought "Do You Believe in Magic" was a Magic Johnson one.
No, Orlando Magic.
Tied to that. Okay, so yeah. So "Do You Believe in Magic" is the one I was thinking of. But if I'm not mistaken, Shaq first met Penny because Penny was one of the players.
I apologize. It's called This Magic Moment. I apologize.
This Magic Moment.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, Penny was one of the background players in Blue Chips. I don't know if he was on the core squad or if he was on like one of the opposing team, like background performers. I don't remember the specifics, but I seem to remember a segment in this documentary where Shaq's doing a testimonial and he's talking about how he met Penny during runs filming Blue Chips, and he went to the Orlando front office and was like, that skinny dude with the pencil stash is who the fuck you're drafting. That's the only way you're keeping me happy is if that's who you draft. I want him. I'm pretty sure that took place. And then, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Penny have a similar career to Grant Hill?
Very much so.
And so, but first Orlando fucked him on his contract, which is what brought about Shaq leaving. Like, Orlando had indicated they weren't going to pay Penny, so Shaq took the meeting with Jerry West or something like that.
I don't know.
Wasn't that the
I don't know if
sequence of
Penny's
events?
situation affected
Penny's rookie
Shaq's
contract
decision.
was coming up, and Shaq had just gotten paid like I want to say Shaq had gotten a boost on his rookie contract or something.
Right.
And Penny's rookie contract was coming due.
Yeah,
they were expecting that both Shaq and Penny were going to get paid. And the Orlando leadership basically said, well, the only way you're getting your number is if we let Penny go.
Hardaway.
It was something along those lines.
Penny Hardaway was a mixture of Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan. Like, he was athletic. Yeah. He had a great vision. I remember when they.
Well, and I'd say he had better range than all of the people you just mentioned too.
Absolutely.
He was more Reggie Miller than any of them.
He was so dangerous on the outside.
I mean to say he had more of Reggie's range than any of those guys did.
Yeah, and I'll say something that might be controversial.
But Reggie didn't have the explosiveness and ball handling and passing that Penny did and those other guys did.
And I'll say something that's going to be a little controversial, but follow me here. I think Penny and Shaq was a better fit than Kobe and Shaq. Now, who was better overall? We know the obvious. The 3 rings.
I think naturally, yes, they are a more natural fit, but I still think the ultimate tragedy, and Shaq has copped to this, at least in part now, is that no, still the best was Kobe and Shaq, but Shaq didn't have the work ethic in order necessary to maximize the opportunity, and he would have had to work a little harder at his relationship with Kobe because they were more naturally diametrically opposed personalities than he and Penny. But I think ultimately they would have reached higher. They still reach higher heights.
Oh no, question. I know one's arguing that part.
Well, and if I'm remembering correctly, it was that Orlando told Shaq the only way you're getting your number is if we let Penny go. So he went to the Lakers and he did it very quietly, which broke Penny's heart and fractured their relationship for many years. But then shortly after it becoming Penny's team and sort of him having the opportunity that Kobe would go on to have, he got like catastrophically injured.
Yeah.
He had like major knee injuries within a season or two of Shaq leaving.
Yeah. He was so good, dude. Like he scared me. He scared me.
Tracy McGrady to me are the dudes who, if ever there was an argument to make that, like, even though the totality of their career and their achievements don't entirely warrant it, if you were to listen to the commentary of their peers, the body of work and ability put forth make the argument that T-Mac and Penny both belong in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I think that's a conversation, certainly in T-Mac's case.
And because the Hall of Fame is technically for basketball, not just for NBA, right?
It's also individual. Yeah, it is also individual.
So it includes college and high school contribution.
Right. Penny should get into some that alone in college alone.
Yeah, because I wasn't following college baskbasketball like that in 92, 93, 94.
Memphis, right.
But Penny was nice with it in college, right? Like,
he was very nice.
Top college player.
He was drafted number 2, I think, in the draft.
Okay.
Was it top pick?
Well, but also he jumped because of the Shaq fluence on the front office. Like, he wasn't projected to go that high.
Correct? They were
he was high first round, but not lottery.
So
pick.
the 93 draft, Chris Webber was the pick, but he got traded to Golden State for Penny, and then Penny ended up becoming, because they wanted Penny. I remember at the times, like 13-year-old, I was thinking to myself, like, why would you trade Chris Webber? Webber and Shaq.
That's what it was. It was that the odds on like all indicators were such that Orlando should have gone after C-Web to pair with Shaq, and Shaq derailed them from C-Web and was like, "No, I want Penny."
And they were right for doing that, for the record.
Yeah,
because
that's the segment that was in Do You Believe in Magic?
You needed the point guard, and at the time, at the 13-year-old, I didn't understand that. Now in hindsight, like they made the right move in hindsight. No,
so that draft that would have also been like Grant Hill and
Grant Hill was 90.
Or Grant Hill was 92. Grant Hill was 92.
No, 95. No, Christian Laettner's 92. No, Christian Laettner's 92.
No, because the 94-95 season is the year that the Pistons went to the turquoise horse jerseys. And they'd already had Grant Hill for a couple of years. He wore the classic Pistons jersey. No, I'm pretty sure Grant Hill got drafted in 92 after the miracle buzzer beater.
94.
Oh, 94. So at least we were both wrong.
Laettner was 92.
He had 1 year in the old jersey, and then it was the next season. Maybe it was 95-96 that they went to the turquoise.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was that year.
I think that's 95.
Because 95, he was
because he did his rookie year. He wore the old jersey.
Right. Also, his rookie year too. Also, he was co-rookie of the year with Jimmy Jackson.
With who?
Jimmy Jackson, the Mavericks.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he went to Ohio State. See, 90s NBA. That's my fucking jam, bro.
Well, sure.
Yeah, that's my fucking.
That's like
core.
when we started paying attention.
That's when I was like hardcore, hardcore. As a
like the first time I really sat down and watched a whole playoff series was the finals in 91.
The Bulls and Lakers?
Yeah.
So no, Penny Hardaway, man, he is so underrated. That Orlando team though, back in there too. And look, they can claim to be the only team the Lions beat.
Detroit too, Brandon also. Brandon Roy is another one that I would put right there with T-Mac and Penny in that like very sort of like tragic pro arc.
I agree.
Brandon Roy was cold.
Orlando can claim though to be the only team that beat Jordan in the 90s. Not Detroit did in 1990, but
they are the last team. They are the last team to send Michael Jordan home in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and the only team to do it after he started winning championships.
I am curious though, because this has been a debate
because he was non-participatory the previous year. And then he came back mid-year and got bounced.
Right, correct. And then the very next year they bounced to Orlando next year. I am curious though. I mean, I don't remember the Eastern Conference at the time in the late 90s, but I am curious. Let's say there's a world. Let's say there's a world that Shaq stays in Orlando. Okay, the Lakers thing happen.
Because wait, the teams that I just want to make sure the landscape we're picturing correctly is you're talking about obviously the Bulls and everybody else. But everybody
Knicks,
else more
Heat.
or less can. Yeah, I was gonna say Knicks, Knicks, Heat, Hornets, Pacers.
Right.
Magic.
So no, Magic.
Knicks, Heat, Hornets, Shaq. Pacers, Magic. They were all nasty.
Right. So Shaq stays in Orlando for another 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
They did go to the finals in 95. Lost to Hakeem in the sweep in 95. Mm-hmm. Never got back again. Shaq stays in Orlando.
Wait, was that 93? No, that was 93, 94. Oh, no. That was the Knicks. That was the Knicks in 93, 94. And then it was the Magic in 94, 95. Okay.
Correct. In the world, Shaq stays in Orlando. How many titles they get based on the landscape in the Eastern Conference? Let's say Shaq stays 7 years in Orlando.
0.
I disagree with that. I think they get 1.
No, I don't think. Well, okay, yeah, no. You're right. They get a couple, and here's why. Well, so the early 2000s become a Warriors level dynasty for the Spurs.
Lakers.
If Shaq never goes to the Lakers,
I think they beat San Antonio 1 year though.
99. The
remember you're taking
99. That first one that San Antonio wins it because Penny probably doesn't get injured in what was it 97, 98 something like that was when he had the really awful. It was like an ACL or an MCL or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
97. He's likely like not carrying that much offensive load if Shaq is still there in the 97.
And remember, the Lakers off the table at this point now. So you can't count the Shaq Lakers in there.
That 99 lockout shortened season that got David Robinson his first and only. I think
he won two, actually.
I think that probably tips to Orlando, because the combination of what Orlando likely does from 96 to 99 in terms of talent acquisition, because they've kept Shaq and Penny. I don't think the Twin Towers of young Tim Duncan and old David Robinson are enough to stop 99 Shaq with Penny. Because, I mean, think about how dominant, disgusting Shaq was in 98, 99 when they
2000,
didn't win,
2001, 2002.
and then 99, 2000 when he won the MVP.
And Mark, here's the math I'm doing here. I said 7 years, right? I'm saying 7 years from 96. So
from 96 to 03, provided Penny stays healthy and they make good moves. Because let's not forget, like, the other players not named Shaq and Kobe on that during that three-peat run don't necessarily get a lot of love, except from people like you and I. The Derek Fishers and Rick Foxes of the world. But, like, let's not forget that 2001 NBA Finals team that lost but one game to due to an Allen Iverson absolute shit show performance. I think Iverson went off for like 52 in that game they won or something.
Yeah.
And that was the step over game. Like, that 2001 Lakers team is one of the greatest teams ever assembled. They went through one of the most talented fields of NBA players that have ever existed during the transition from, like, violent ball to super scoring ball. And they are arguably right there with the 72-10 96 Bulls and the 70-win Warriors that lost, and then all those other, like, the 01 Lakers are right there, and they only have 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. So it's a math equation here. 96, Shaq stays. Penny's going to hurt. I still think Jordan wins the 3, because that Bulls team was a stack in general. So Orlando.
Nobody was.
Right. So they still win the 3 titles. Okay. Where Orlando
by 98, it's close, and Jordan probably sees a game 7.
Well, he did see game 7, remember, against Indiana.
Oh, that's true. It was only he never saw game 7 in the finals. That's what it was.
He did see against Indiana.
That is true.
The Tony Kukoc game.
No, I think those fights to the top are much more difficult. Yeah. And by 97, 98, the Jazz or the Spurs maybe steal one, because they're so beaten up by Shaq and Penny.
That's very true. And I think I think you got it.
Choking on my own spit.
I think where Orlando. Here we go. Don't die.
Because, like, on paper in the 80s, the Knicks were every inch talented enough to beat the Bulls, but by 1996, they weren't.
No.
The Magic in 96, 97, 98 are just starting to hit their old man strength. You know, that becomes a much bigger mountain to climb for the Bulls.
But they clip the titles. They won't get 3 like Shaq and Kobe did.
I think they get definitely maybe 2 of the 3, but maybe get bounced in the
definitely
Eastern
one
Conference Finals in either 97 or 98.
Right. They'll get that title in some.
Scottie Pippen twists an ankle in game 4, and then Shaq puts up 52 and 24 in the next game, and they steal the series from the Bulls. You know what I mean? Like, that is a very plausible outcome.
They'll clip they'll get the titles between 99 and 2003, because remember, the Lakers are off the board at this point now.
Yeah, but the Spurs become a juggernaut.
Yeah. So they'll
get
think
it. Of it. The only thing that stopped the Spurs from basically going on a 4-peat was Shaq and Kobe. And the only 2 years that the Shaq and Kobe Lakers lost and an Eastern Conference team did, like, so from 99 to like 2007, I want to say all but one championship were won by either the Lakers or the Spurs.
Right.
And because the Shaq Heat snuck one in there.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Duncan was injured that year or something, which is why Dallas got past them in the West.
They'll definitely get one title, possibly two between 99 and 2003. Without question.
I think the Bulls, like you said, the Bulls get 2 out of the 3 at least from 96 to 98, maybe all 3, but I'm not sold on that. And then from 99 to 03, they probably get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know if by 2001 they're getting past San Antonio. Because at that point, there's too much that even the juggernaut that is 2000's Shaq isn't enough to get around Greg Popovich and all those pieces.
True. Penny is my number.
Now you're trying, because that's still Bruce Bowen, Sean Elliott, early Manu. That's pre Tony Parker.
Yeah.
Maybe baby Tony Parker, and then where Tim Duncan is just really starting to be unstoppable. That run from like 2000 to 2014, Tim Duncan was just stupid.
Right. No, shit. I was gonna say. Penny Hardaway is my number 2 biggest what if probably in NBA history, but number 1 is still Grant Hill. Grant Hill, to me, if he was healthy, is a top 10 player of all time. I've been saying for years. He's LeBron, but more finesse.
Yeah, I think if Penny doesn't get hurt, he's D Wade. He's number 3 on the all-time shooting guard list.
He was a point though.
Was he?
Yes, he was. That's what I was trying to say.
Like 6'6" though?
6'8". That's why I kept saying he's Magic Johnson.
See, I think if he sticks around longer, as he starts to slow down, he moves from the 1 to the 2 and gets remembered as a 2.
And to your point,
at that size, he starts becoming more of a spot up shooter because he already had more natural range than a lot of the other guys at his position.
And I
think he naturally moves into a 3-and-D spot up shooter kind of role.
And he would fucking ball today.
Oh, his game in today's NBA, stupid.
He'd be the more player in the league.
Think of it, because if he's a kid that's born in 99, 2000 and getting drafted in 2020, that's a kid who's been shooting threes since he was 11. So Penny, who already had more range than Kobe, MJ, or a couple other guys coming into the league of comparable position, he would have already had that base too. So I mean, he would have been hitting logo shit
Penny
from
would be
from his first summer league.
Penny would be a top 3 player in the league right now. He'd be better than Luka. He would, because he's a better defender. No, yeah, he would. Better defender. Better passer, better defender.
Yeah, you're right.
Scoring could be a little wash.
Yeah, I think Luka has ever so slightly more in his bag on offense than Penny does, but that's probably more due in part to just when he's played, that players have deeper bags with more moves than they did 30 years ago.
And Penny can play with anybody. Luka can't.
Yeah, Luka has to have a more specific set of players around him in order to be successful.
Penny can play with anybody.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
So, anyway,
Mark, Penny's a top 5 point guard. If top 5 point guard, top 10 player if he never gets hurt and loses Shaq.
Yeah, I think him and Grant Hill both, in my opinion, would be top 10 players, arguably.
Yeah, and then Tracy McGrady is right there at their heels.
Oh yeah. Anyway, Mark, this might be our longest podcast ever done.
No, we've had a couple that I want to say cracked 3, but this is definitely up there. I'm
not including the election one, because that was.
Yeah. No. I would have never considered election night, because that's a one-off anyway. That's a live coverage thing. Yeah. But no, I think we've had a couple of like going way back when we were just fucking renegades with this thing. I think we had a couple that were.
I'll do some research.
That were like some big marathons.
I'll do some research on that one. I know we've done 2 hours and an hour and a half one now, but not like this. This is 2.5 hours. Loved it though.
And it's funny is we actually didn't do that much with Epstein. That was the whole impetus behind hopping.
We opened it and then we just kind of went to the.
Yeah, we scraped the servers and then didn't actually do much with it.
You know what it is though. We don't know what's in the files yet. We're still waiting for the files to come out.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing we've always been saying is like call us when there's some there. It seems like we're a whole lot closer and some really disgusting shit is starting to come out. But I think Prince Andrew is going to be one of the threads that helps to unravel this, because the more and more that the royal family is lifting their force field around him and just sort of throwing him to the wolves of British tabloids, I think that connection will open the door to lifting the veil on a lot of the, call it, attempted redactions and attempts at concealment by the Republicans.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out soon, hopefully.
Because Andrew was as close to the inner circle as anyone.
He was. Sure was. You want to plug anything before we get out of here?
Just our ongoing work with HAC always. HAC_US, HAC_Haiti on all social media platforms. The latest hurricane got a lot of coverage for Jamaica, but the southern departments in Haiti got hit really hard. Obviously not nearly as bad as what's taking place in Jamaica, but our work continues, and these kinds of storms only further exacerbate the ongoing conditions that you and I have been speaking to for years. So tap in with HAC or it's www.hacglobal.org if you're a traditional webist. But tap in with us, give us money, help our efforts, and go learn about Haiti.
All right, Mark. Good job as always, man. Nice marathon, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Good thing I was well caffeinated.